Good morning to you all, and welcome to the last thematic session during this Danube Water Conference for 2023. I hope that this session is placed the last one by chance only, not by importance. When we speak about communication and collaboration, we often treat it as a side topic, as a cross-cutting issue, but during the discussions during these 2 days, we have seen that it is an essential one, actually. I thank you for your presence during this session. Some of the people at the conference have left, but I hope that we will be using your creativity, imagination, innovation, inspiration, and commitment throughout this session to compensate for everyone else who has left already. This is a very important topic that we are tackling as we are working in very difficult times, in times of many challenges that the water sector needs to face. And in order to be able to do so, we need to mobilize each and every citizen, each and every customer, each and every user, each and every partner that we can mobilize potentially. So this is the topic of our today's session: collaboration and cooperation and communication. How do we communicate about water? And the introduction into this session in your materials says that water is life. If water is life, how we communicate about life, and how we make people aware about life, and how we affect people, how they treat life, and what life they are going to live for the future generations. So we have many challenges that we are going to tackle during this session, and we will be tackling communication and collaboration at different levels, starting from communicating with those who receive the services and who benefit from everything that we as municipalities, as public utility companies, as service providers do. Then how do we communicate with those who make the decisions, with the local governments, with the municipalities? How do we communicate with the other stakeholders which are influencing our work at national and regional level? How do we cooperate with the other actors from whom we can learn and who can be our partners in achieving our goals? And also, how do we communicate and collaborate among ourselves? We have a distinguished panel of 6 panelists, the bigger one during this conference, and a very rich one with variety of experiences that they bring on the table. So we will be tackling upon each of these points that I mentioned during the introduction. Dear panelists, we really appreciate your energy, commitment, and everything that you put into this conference from the preparations up to today's present. So thank you very much for being here with us, and thank you for sharing your valuable inputs. This session will be co-chaired by Jakub. We said that we are going to empower throughout our work the young water professionals. Mr. Jakub Socher is coming from the Czech Republic, and he is the co-chair of their young water professional forces in the Czech Republic. So he will be joining me to welcome you all, to highlight the importance of this topic and introduce our first speaker.
Good morning, everyone. So we will move to the first speaker of our session. Yeah, thanks. So the first speaker would be Ellen Maslia-Gilkarov. She is a technical expert for public participation communication at the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube Water, and she plays a key role in coordinating public participation initiatives and managing communication activities.
Good morning. Very, very happy to be here with you. My presentation is here. Okay, great. So it's really an honor to be here today. First of all, I hope you are feeling good. You're excited about learning about communications with us today with this esteemed panel. So I'll try to be brief. That's usually something that's very untypical for me. I'm always late and I always speak too long and too much, but I'll really try to keep the 10 minutes, I promise. Yes, I'm happy. I'm honored to represent the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River here with you today. And of course, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for having the opportunity to do so and to share with you a little bit of our story, of our communication story, and how we try to make people's lives in the Danube River Basin better every day. And what's also important, and this is the topic of my presentation, communication is about strengthening connections. Strengthening connection, communication and outreach is really about that. That's the recipe. So I will bring you to where we are. On my map, I hope you can see it from here. This is Vienna. This is where we are. These are the headquarters of the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River. Small secretariat supporting 80 million people, 79 million people actually. We've lost some people, sadly, in the basin, as we've noticed through COVID and through all sorts of events and demographic issues, but that's another communication story. So the Danube River Basin is really the most international river basin in the world. And the ICPDR, from the ICPDR Secretariat at the UN in Vienna, coordinates and manages, or helps to coordinate and to manage the waters of the Danube River Basin. So we operate a very large area, 800,000 square kilometers. And we work, as I said, for 79 million people, over 19 countries, 14 of which are our contracting parties. And very important, we promote and coordinate sustainable water management based on a convention. That's sort of the foundation of our work, the Danube River Protection Convention. And we really are here to strike a balance between economic development and ecological preservation. So all this to ensure long-term sustainability and well-being of the 79 million citizens of the Danube River Basin. So because I'm a communicator, and just like all communicators, we like to tell stories. So I'll start with our story. The roots of the Danube Cooperation can be traced back to 1989, the fall of the Iron Curtain. That was a very significant year. And it also marked the opening of new possibilities for collaboration in the region. On the 29th of June, 1994, we signed the Danube River Protection Convention in Sofia in Bulgaria, and that convention serves as the cornerstone for the cooperative efforts that we make in the Danube River Basin every day. The convention outlines the key objectives that the ICPDR strives to achieve, so sustainable and equitable use of water, etc. You can read the slide. Like I said, I don't have that much time, so I want to focus more on the communication aspects of things. Again, in October 1998, so the Danube River Protection Convention, which was signed in June 1994, came into force. And it really solidified the legal foundation for cooperation for the countries in protecting and managing water resources sustainably and equitably. Then the years 2000 and 2007 marked other significant milestones for the world of water and for us in the Danube River Basin, with the adoption of the EU Water Framework Directive and the EU Floods Directive. These directives really brought a sort of a common language and framework for addressing water-related issues across the basin. And in 2004, because the role of public participation, of involvement of the public was recognized, the public participation, the ICPDR Public Participation Expert Group was created. And that group plays a significant role in ensuring that all stakeholders are involved and the public is involved in decision-making processes that are related to the Danube River Basin. June 2004 also marked a very important event for us, the first celebration of Danube Day, which is a public event, an annual public event that's celebrated on the 29th June every year, and that promotes awareness and appreciation of the Danube River Basin and the importance of that river for the region. Danube Day is really an opportunity to engage the public, to raise awareness about the need for cooperation and collective action in protecting and preserving the river. So it's really our Danube cooperation, I would say, is thrives on pillars of trust, of collective will, ownership, and they are reinforced by effective mechanisms for cooperation and participation. Who are the ICPDR countries? Who are the drivers of our action? The signatories of the Danube River Protection Convention. There are 14 countries, including 9 EU member states and 5 non-EU member states. I think that's important to highlight the role of these non-EU member states who, although are not bound by the directives, they definitely strive to implement them to the best of their ability. And history has also shown that membership to the ICPDR has played a pivotal role in EU accession process for some of these member countries. So our cooperation is really built on the foundation of learning from each other, of learning with one another, of knowledge exchange and collaboration, and these are our key drivers for what we do. Very briefly, this is the organigram, the structure of the ICPDR. Basically, at the top, we have the ICPDR, the deciders, the countries, the delegations of the 15 contracting parties, so 14 Danube countries and the European Union, supporting the overall coordination of ICPDR work and is the permanent secretariat. And finally, we have the expert and task groups, which are very important since our observers, and this is where we get to stakeholder engagement, are present in our expert and task groups. 24 observers who come from diverse sectors, social, cultural, economic, academia, environmental interests. They contribute to our shared goals. And of course, they are aligned with the goals of the convention. And we feel that we share a community responsibility. So our collaboration with our observers is founded on a really shared community responsibility for sustainable water management, because we together with them strive to achieve long-term objectives. And we prioritize stakeholder engagement. This is very important. We treat our observers with respect and openness. Observers are valued members of the ICPDR family, and collaborating with observers has shown that it's been a key to our success over the years. Now, public participation is a requirement. It's also something that I love to do every day. This is my job, and we are lucky at the ICPDR. We are the only river basin organization in the world that has actually an expert tasked with this position. But it's a legal requirement. It's Article 14 of the Water Framework Directive and Articles 9 and 10 of the Floods Directive prescribe. This is part of the legislation, and they say, a quote, that member states should encourage the active involvement of interested parties in the implementation of both directives. But public participation is also a fast-changing way of working with the public, and this is why working on public participation means also working on communication and working together hand in hand to achieve those goals. So our commitments, this is a way we sort of communicate our goals, but we also communicate with the public with an easy, I would say, an easy message that's easy to remember. Our vision is a cleaner, healthier, and safer Danube River Basin, not only for us, but for future generations too. That's an easy message, easy to memorize. I'll test you at the end of this session to make sure that you remember it. And it reaches a wide audience. It shows that embracing those pillars we're dedicated to preserving the Danube River Basin for present and for future generations, and that we ensure its sustainable and harmonious coexistence, this coexistence that's so important between people and nature. We have a magic recipe, I would say, the public participation toolbox, which is about our observers, of course, but also our dedicated expert group. the early and continuous involvement of stakeholders is really a priority to us. The commitment of our stakeholder organizations, our educational tools, our outreach activities such as Danube Day, and we also have an art competition, Danube Art Master, which is an environmental art competition, very successful as well. Public information dissemination through reports and communication, so facilitating the work of the technical experts and making sure that their messages are not too complicated and too complex and accessible to the widest public possible. Stakeholder consultations are very important. We have management plans. We work in 6-year cycles, and for that we need stakeholder consultations. We have constant intersectorial dialogue, again, going back to the observers, branding campaigns. So this is, for example, my bottle of a project that we did. So we make sure that we have our brand, we have our Danube Day bags, we have our special giveaways, which I'll talk about in a minute. And of course, we have our 3 pillars: cleaner, healthier, and safer Danube. So that encapsulates our motto and our goals. Very briefly, I want to talk about the public voices. That's important. Stakeholder engagement, public participation, communication. That's about including public voices in policy decisions. That's essential for effective governance. Representing diverse perspectives, building legitimacy and trust, informed and effective policies are basically coming from valuable input that we get from the public and from the science sector. Enhancing
2 more minutes.
Accountability and giving and making sustainable and inclusive solutions. I warned you at the start, right, that I was not going to be speaking shortly enough. Anyhow, real quick, so these are some images of some campaigns that we've done for public consultations on the 2 plans. Outreach, again, through our events. So these are some miscellaneous of some photos of events that we've done and showing the branding and the involvement. And something, again, I'm going back to my bottle. It's not an obsession. It's really important. Giveaways are a very good vehicle of communication. You start a conversation. Oh, I like your bottle. And then I'm like, yeah, you want the bottle? So you've got to hear the whole story. That's how it works. And this is the project, and this is what's behind it. Yeah, the newsroom, it's important, please. I encourage you to follow us on our social media channels, to check icpedia.org every once in a while. We have a wealth of knowledge and of publications, and I'm sure everybody will find something of their taste there. And I'd like to conclude by saying that communication is key. That communication is the cornerstone of our work, that it enables effective collaboration and cooperation, that we emphasize keeping the dialogue solution-oriented and focus on finding practical and actionable outcomes, that our efforts are dedicated to bridging the information gap. Again, information is key, just like communication, ensuring that information is accessible and understandable to all stakeholders, and together we strive to bring attainable achievements. That's also, it's part of our collective wealth for the Danube, and showing the tangible progresses that we've made in managing the basin. And finally, building bridges together, strengthening connections, and fostering a shared commitment towards a sustainable and thriving river basin. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, dear Helen. It was really a pleasure learning more about the activities of ICPDR when it comes to communication, cooperation, and coordination. Thank you for pointing out how public participation is important in the work you're doing and the toolkit that you have mentioned. I hope that our audience can use it too, besides the observers for whom it is meant. And also thank you very much for pointing out that dialogue is very important in doing the communication work. We will be tackling upon it in the future discussions as well. Please write down any questions that you might have for Helen or whoever from our speakers, because we will have time for your questions. And unlike the other sessions where you were doing it through the online channels, this time I would ask you to speak up, to raise your voice physically and to see you and to communicate, because communication and collaboration is about it, exchanging vividly in life also, besides all the online tools that we have available. We are moving to our next pair, tandem in this case. We have two people coming from two different organizations, but working for the Regional Capacity Development Network for Water and Sanitation Services, RCDN. You have heard about RCDN briefly in some of the previous sessions as well. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jelena, working for NALAS, but I'm also working for RCDN. Supporting the network in the Western Balkans. And we have two presenters who will be tackling upon a very important topic that we will discuss today, awareness raising. From two different perspectives. When we speak about awareness raising, it goes to the whole population, and one of the examples will be focusing on that. But when we speak about awareness raising, we also speak about the sector and the professionals in the sector, and the second example will focus on that one. So I will first invite Ms. Emilia Milunovic, who is coming from IAVD, and she will be presenting a very nice initiative, which actually resulted from an exchange like this one that we have a few years ago. Actually, I think during or even before Corona time, when we emphasized that working with the general public is very important. Thank you, IAVD, for taking up this message and developing it. So Emilia will present to you what is the result after this inspiration we got from one of our sessions. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jelena, and thank you all for showing up today after yesterday's dinner. I know it was hard for you, so I'm going to present an awareness-raising campaign for water and sanitation services. So I will just kick off with a video, and I will show you what we have done for now. Let me just point out at the beginning that this is a campaign, and we have implemented just a small part of it, which I will present you today. So first I will introduce myself. My name is Emilia Milunovic. I work as project manager at IWD, and in the period from September 2021 until October 2022, I was managing the activities in the frame of RCDN. For IWD. So I will kick off with the video. So thanks for watching this. I mean, this is one of the 3 videos that we have produced and are on this website that we have implemented for now. But before I go into into the topic, what the campaign is about, I will talk a little bit on the background of the campaign. So the need for communication and outreach was actually always there and still is. But the National Association and the Roundtable of National Associations from the Danube region have met and discussed approximately 2 or 3 years ago, and they are discussing constantly on this topic, on the need for public to be aware of how important water is for consumption in everyday life, not only for consumption for drinking, as we saw before, but also for everyday use and sanitation. For us, it seems like a very usual thing. We have it every day, but it's also something that we need to be aware of. And I don't talk about youth. I mean, this community is very aware of that, but I'm talking about people who are actually using it and don't think about it. So maybe taking it for granted. In the frame of RCDN grant period, IWD has hired a consultant who is here watching. Hi, Mike. So he has developed a communication strategy for us and helped us to kick off and to think about how we could reach out to people, especially to young people, on the importance of water consumption. So the target group I already mentioned before previously, but I would like to say target group are actually consumers of the water services. everyone is target group, so the whole public, but especially we would like to reach out to young people. In the region, why I say in the region, because this project was, this activity has been implemented in the frame of Regional Capacity Development Network, and this campaign, this network is especially targeting people and targeting communication and cooperation in the 6 non-EU countries in the Western Balkans, and this is where we have, let's say, our campaign started. What do we have for now? For now, we have a website with the 3 videos. One of them I showed you already. Please visit the website, see how you like it, give us your comments. We have tips on how to protect water resources. We have listed them there. We have tips on how to save water in everyday life. And a support button is for someone who would like to get more information about how their water utility works, be aware of where water comes from, support, let's say, just in general, the whole website is about informing people where do they get water from, how can they contact their utilities, and how to get involved, maybe on the long run. So how can Just Add Water website be used and promoted? So the website is additional service for our members that we would like to present and for them to have as a communication tool for their users, for their consumers. We would like to spread those videos further, to use them on social media. We would like the national associations and our members to join with their logos so that it can be linked to their website as well. That's what we can do for now. But how can we develop the campaign further? Promote the campaign on events. Like Helena mentioned, they are already promoting like a Danube, the importance, but more in an ecological sense. We could do this on water consumption, also on Water Day, on Danube Day, sorry, and also in schools, maybe with children, produce more videos so that it's more a thing that everyone knows and can recognize. And then translate also into local languages and use it and spread it locally so that the campaign has a life of its own in different countries. So this was very brief, I hope. Thank you for your attention, and please visit the website. Just Add Water.
Thank you very much, Emilia. Thank you to IAVD for initiating this, and thank you for bringing a platform that other partners can join in. So this is an open invitation to all of you to use the resources that ELW has developed and join the campaign, localize it and use it with your audiences because the visuals are very nicely developed. I will move on to Zvonko. Zvonko Nomoski is coming from GIZ Macedonia. As I mentioned, he's our colleague working for RCDN, and RCDN implemented a very interesting and very successful campaign which focused on the wastewater programs that RCDN has developed with very interesting approach. We were targeting professionals because we wanted to make them aware about the existence of these wastewater programs, which are very useful for their capacity development. But we thought that we couldn't do it without mobilizing the base. And the base are the citizens who should be aware of what is the level of services provided at national level. The pilot country was Macedonia, and you will be hearing about the excellent results this campaign achieved. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elena. Good morning, everybody. It's quite motivating to see such large number of people at the very end of an event. That shows about the importance of this topic. And I'm very glad to have you, all of you here, and be ready to listen to the case that was done in Macedonia regarding the Raising Awareness campaign about the RCDN Wastewater Capacity Development Program. One issue can be relevant and important, but it becomes important at societal level once it is recognized by the citizens. And this is the story about how we try to make the water sector, water and sanitation services sector, and especially the capacity development of the personnel involved into this sector important and relevant for the society. We piloted in Macedonia, but RCDN is planning to design and implement such awareness raising campaigns in all 6 Western Balkans countries in the following period. So, RCDN, Wastewater Capacity Development Program, is a holistic program that aims to capacitate the professionals in the water and sanitation services sector, decision makers, managers of the public utilities and municipalities in order to design projects, implement projects, and operate the wastewater treatment plants. The key issue was how to capacitate these professionals and help boost the efficiency of the books in the Western Balkans with little support or no support from the decision makers. So you have to know that we faced challenges. Once we discussed this issue, we were familiarized with the following. Sir. There is a low awareness in the country, and this means for in the all Western Balkan countries, about the quality for water supply and wastewater management. There is a lack of institutional capacities and communication. Public utility companies and local government units know very little or face very little knowledge and skills in terms of the technical competence to provide quality water and sanitation services. And what is very important, the communication and coordination among them is very low. And then it's underfunding and underinvestment in the sector because of the weak planning. These institutions have weak planning capacities, therefore there is the absorption capacities to absorb funds or financial support is very low. The proposed solution was to launch an awareness raising campaign and to increase the awareness of the citizens, of the population, but also to increase the awareness of the people and the stakeholders involved in the sector. Also, the aim of the campaign was to educate, to promote and position, in order to promote and position the CD products as a high quality, affordable capacity building solution, customized to the needs of public utility companies and local government units in the country. And last but not least, to engagement, to create interest and demand for these capacity development projects among target groups. So the approach that GIZ RCDN took was to hire a professional PR company to research, design, and implement a promotional strategy for wastewater capacity development programs, targeting the decision makers from the sector, which means local government units, ministries, state officials, etc., the partners, which means development cooperation agencies, donors, international financial institutions, the business sector, and the general public. So the result was, the approach was to initiate an overall and comprehensive campaign and by use of the following instruments. We designed, with the help of the PR company, key messages for the defined target group. We designed also key visuals. We produced videos. We prepared and posted posts on social medias. The infographics for defined target groups were explaining the RCDN training programs were designed and published. Banners for website promotion, landing page for RCDN website, one with general info about the project and one about the RCDN products, and PR articles were produced. So the campaign was on social media, and we used Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And you can see the impact. We published 23 posts. 1.4 million post impressions were a result of the campaign. Almost 170,000 total engagements, around 10,000 link clicks. Then on LinkedIn, we had 22 posts published. On Twitter, more than 50 tweets. This is very important to know that Macedonia is a society of around 2 million people. So if you see these numbers, you can see the impact of the campaign, and you have to know this was a very low budget campaign. Besides social media, we worked with domestic websites. We worked with 10 websites, and we had 4 million impressions. And domestic websites are mainly read because of the language by the citizens of the country. And out of this 4 million, in this we had 3,700 link clicks. We published two PR articles on 5 websites, and we had around 7,000 reads. YouTube is something which is must. We produced 9 videos, 800,000 impressions, and out of which around 400,000 unique video views. This means that every fifth person in the country have watched these videos. This is, I'm going to, because of the length of the presentation, I'm going to show just an extract of a couple of videos, but you'll get this presentation. We'll have the links to watch the videos. The video is in Macedonian language, but just to get an impression, a sense how it looks like, what is it about. The video is about the work of the wastewater treatment plants, and we had 54,000 views with these videos.
Се запрашале каде оди нечистата вода откако ќе ја искористите и што се случува со неа. Веројатно ќе помислите дека треба да оди на прочистување, иако најверојатно не е секогаш така. Општините кои имаат капацитети за третман на вода користат различни методи за третман на водата со цел да ја прочистат колку што е можно повеќе и да ја вратат во животната средина, чувајќи ги со тоа луѓето и земјата безбедни. И за тоа не е потребна некоја висока технологија или знаење кое е недостапно. Објектите за третман на вода се создадени на начин да ги забрзаат и помогнат природните процеси на прочистување на водата.
Okay. The next video is what is the current state in the country related to wastewater treatment plants. This video was watched by 33,000 viewers.
Секогаш во прв план кога говориме за здравјето и квалитетната животна средина. Додека квалитетот на водата што ја конзумираме е секогаш во сенка и не го добива потребното внимание. Повеќе од 80% од нашата отпадна вода се враќа во природата нетретирана, што представува огромен ризик за населението. Затоа треба да се преземат конкретни мерки за намалување на загадувањето за да може водата повторно да се употребува без ризик по здравјето на конзументите. Главни извори за загадување на водата се индустрискиот отпад.
Okay, these are the links for the other videos. If you are interested later on, you can watch them. The results of the campaign. And by the way, the campaign was done during the second half of the last year. And as I mentioned, it was a very low budget campaign. The results, 7 million impressions in total. More than 500,000 unique people reached. Again, every fifth person in the country has been targeted or reached by this campaign. More than 150,000 engagements on social media. That means people who reacted by by sharing, commenting, etc., etc. More than 430,000 views on produced videos, 11,000 visits to the project landing page, and 7.5 thousand reads of PR releases. Beside this, we had 2 interviews of the representatives of the National Association of Public Utility Companies in Macedonia, ATCOM, on the national TV stations. Unfortunately, we were not able to measure the impact or how many viewers were watching these interviews, but we know that these national TV stations are quite popular. The effects: many posts of social media were shared by state officials, civil society organizations, and others. There has been interest beside the interest of the professionals from the sector. During the campaign, we have received questions. We have received requests by students, by representatives of the business sector and the employees of the banks to become part of the training. Why? This is a very good indicator. Students realize that this is an important training and it helps to develop their career and their knowledge. Representatives of business sector are quite aware that in very near future, they will have to start dealing with wastewater. And employees of the banks realize that this is an opportunity for them to provide financial support to the municipalities and public utility companies. So in general, public interest in water quality and wastewater challenges has increased. And what was very interesting, after the end of the campaign, the branch office of the Balkan Investigation Report Network, BIR, has published an investigation story about the wastewater situation, about the situation of wastewater treatment plants in the country. And it was not just a text, but it was also a combination, a story with support of 5 videos. So the conclusions, I'll go shortly through them. The distinctive visual assets are needed. Facebook works best for wider or broad reach. YouTube campaign in such situation is must. Infographics with local data are eye-openers, and those are the triggers that create interest. Wider campaign visibility will arouse the interest, very important. Campaigns should be tailored and replicated in Western Balkans. This is the knowledge we've gained from the piloting in Macedonia. Regional cooperation would enforce the awareness, and RCDN Plus is ready to support such campaign if interest arises. But in front of all, you have to educate the PR agency you are going to engage if you are not doing by yourself, because water sector, especially wastewater, is terra incognita for PR companies. Educate them before, because otherwise they will treat you like a commercial product, and they'll prepare a similar campaign like selling promotion of a car or a beer or whatever. So this is the end of the presentation. In just as a summary, just to brief you, this was the case in North Macedonia about the Raising Awareness campaign. We presented the approach, the results, and the conclusions we gained from the campaign. And now we are ready to jump into the next step and support the rest of the Western Balkan countries. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Zvonko. This was actually a very comprehensive, fast-forward lecture on how you do a public awareness campaign with all the elements and with all the analysis. And thank you, Zvonko, for doing that thoroughly. One thing that I found you missed in the conclusions, in the effects of the campaign, is the number of phone calls we received. At one point, my telephone number was the first one on the RCDN website, and I was traveling to Podgorica, and I received like tens of phone calls from different journalists also from different employees of public utility companies who would like to be part. And then I had to call Zvonko and tell him to remove my number. And we kept receiving inquiries from different sites, and that's the effect of the campaign. And that shows you that you have done a great job, and I congratulate you all for that. We are moving forward with Jakub and our next speaker, and keep your questions. We will be addressing them shortly.
So next speech will be also about a very interesting campaign and communication methodology by Vienna Water, which is represented by Astrid Rompold. Astrid Rompold is since 2001 head of staff unit public relations and communications in Vienna Water. In addition, since 2005, she acts as head of the Committee for Public Relations at the Austrian Gas and Water Industry Association. In 2015, she got her master's degree in political management.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me here. Congratulations to this great campaign. My topic is a little bit different because I'm talking about actually the public relations matters and the new strategies we follow the last about 2 years. The only thing you have to know about Vienna Water, as I know that many of you heard about it, I just want to tell you we get our water from the mountains, from 4 mountains. The water flows by gravity to the city, and even in the city, it is supplied by gravity. So just to give you a small overview. We are communicating with our consumers about several topics. One of our most important topics this year is our 150th anniversary of Vienna Water. Every newspaper, every broadcast studio wants to know things about the history of Vienna Water. And this is a big advantage we have this year. And this is the reason why we have many, many requests from journalists. Since March 2022, we presented, in March 2022, we presented the strategy for the future. Actually, it's only about very technical related projects. I just brought you our strategy. It's about 200 pages. It's massive, I want to say. So for us, it was very important to make it smaller, to make it more effective to read it through. And now we made a 40 pages brochure for our consumers. So anyone who's interested can have one of these. I brought 5 of them with me if you're interested for later maybe. Then another very important question and an important topic is the projects which are related to climate change and climate change mitigation. Another question for many people in town is the blackout issue, because Austrian military had something like a campaign in 2022. And so we got many, many questions, many emails from inhabitants of the city who wanted to know, what about on my specific address? Will I have water on my specific address? And for about 95% of the inhabitants, we can say, yes, this will be no problem. So this is very easy to handle. I will show you a little bit more about that after that. And then what is also very important for us are the visuals. We have about 30 photos. We have about photos, graphics, and images about the Vienna water supply, and that they are very professional. We have a very professional photographer, Johannes Zinner, you can see him today here. So we have really professional material to supply the journalists with material. So I told you about our brochure. The most important things in there, topics in there are secure water for the future. The growth of the population. We now have about 2 million inhabitants. And of course, global warming is also a very important topic. And we deal with growth of population and global warming, and these will lead us to an increase of demand of water of about 15% until 2050. And of course, also the threat of the blackout is one of the topics in this document. So how are we preparing for the challenges? Very briefly, I want to give you an overview. We are gathering more water of our resources. We have about 70 springs and about 30 wells. We will enlarge the capacity of our water reservoirs, and we are expanding the pipe network, especially the main network. We are taking responsibility for global warming, and these are also issues people want to know about. We have 16 water power plants along the water mains leading to the capital, and also a photovoltaic system on a water reservoir, and we will go on building these photovoltaic systems on water reservoirs. And in addition, we have a facade greening on our headquarters in the 6th district here in Vienna. Since 2 years, we have established something very nice, the summer sprinkle. We have 100 of these installed in the city, and also the so-called Brunhilde, which is either a drinking fountain or also actually summer sprinkle. And we have 1,300 drinking fountains in the city, which is also very important because of because tap water should be accessible in the city following the Water Framework Directive. So this is our blackout preparation, our blackout information on the internet, because we've got so many emails in the last year that we almost weren't able to answer all of them. So we established one page, just one short, brief information on the internet. And for most of the people, this was enough information, so they didn't have to send us further emails. Of course, we have backup generators and other measures for the case of a blackout. So now, what changed in the past? We have since 2 years, every year at World Water Day, a press conference with our mayor Michael Ludwig. You can see him on the picture, together with our city councillor Jürgen Czernohorski. We have a big advantage because our city councillor is very actively being on Facebook and Instagram. And actually he is like, yes, he's spreading the news about the water supply almost every day. It's really great for us. And of course we use ourselves, social media, the website, emails, and the public relations about our construction sites, because especially when people live very close to a construction site, or they have their way to the work along the streets where our construction sites cause traffic jams, then it's important that they know before that they will need longer to go to work. And this is, I think, one of our most important measures for public relations. And of course, as I mentioned, the professional photos. I can recommend to make social media, to use social media for your public relations. Maybe it's cheap, but if you try to make it very professional, then you need a lot of resources to supply the system and to supply with really good content. One thing everyone likes is, of course, animal on social media. And so when we posted our hamster at the water reservoir next to the water tower, people were really happy to see it and shared it. So I can recommend this. And of course, every issue which is related to your water supply. So these are some examples about our social media postings, about relating to International Women's Day, related to our 150th anniversary, and of course also for example, the cleaning of the big, actually a huge water reservoir with a capacity of 150,000 cubic meters, which is in Lower Austria. It's not in, about almost 600,000 cubic meters is in Lower Austria. And we had also a team with Wolfgang, who is also here. We had a team on the Vienna City Marathon. So this was also one of the favorite postings on Instagram. So what is really new is that these talking about global warming, about the future, about measures to prepare for global warming and to prepare for the future. This is very interesting for media, and this is my recommendation for you if you want to start structured public relations. This people are interested what will happen in the future, how they can prepare for the future. And so we are very happy to have many media reports in the last 2 years, much more than we had in the last 25 years, 27 years. Thank you.
So as we saw, the amount of topics which can be communicated through the social media or even the print medias are very big. And I think that we can move to because of the time, to another speaker.
Thank you very much, dear Astrid. This was really inspiring. It's always inspiring to hear from Vienna what works and Vienna as a city. But you have pointed out that several important aspects that all other public utility companies from the region can integrate into their work and use some of your approaches and some. Thank you for sharing the tips and tricks as well. It's time to do a small break or defocus. So we will have a small poll of survey now. Only one question, because we are in the middle of the session where we will split it into 2 different topics. So we would like to hear your opinion about campaigns. Kati, can we launch the poll of survey, please? The question is related to what makes a good public survey campaign. So please scan the code or open the website polaf.com 2023 DVC 515 and tell us your opinion, what makes a good public awareness campaign? What are the key ingredients there? It's multiple choice, so you can choose several if you wish. But just to sense how these campaigns that we have heard about until now meet these requirements and what in your view makes a good campaign. Interesting. Well targeted is the most important one, so that you know where you're going, to whom you're reaching out. Very good point. Strong messages, the second one. Good visuals was one of the most important when we started the poll, but now it's going as the third one. Definitely very important. The strong messages go together with the visuals. Creative, of course. Timely, very interestingly, very low number for votes for timely, but it's really, really important that you link your campaign with different days and with different momentums, like the one that we saw in the showcasing Macedonian pilot. Variety of tools is also not very preferred. Comprehensive, very interesting, with very low number of votes. All of these are important. We just wanted to see what, in your view, is the key ingredient, and the message that we take from this poll is well-targeted, strong messages, and good visuals. Please remember these 3 when you plan and design your next public awareness campaign. And it's really very much needed in the whole region that public utility companies and their associations, supported by the municipalities and their associations, engage with the general public in order to raise the awareness about the water resources and how they are used, but also to water professionals and how they develop their capacities and how they engage into making their public utility company better, more effective and efficient. Thank you, Kati, for this support very much. I will use this opportunity to open the floor for a couple of questions because we have 6 speakers. I hope that we do not forget the first one until we reach to the last one. So I will give you a chance to have a couple of questions for our previous speakers before we move into more collaborative topics. Anyone who would like to raise the voice physically, please do. Can we have a mic here, please?
Thank you. I have a question if in the region you see that different platforms are more important than others, because what should we use best? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, what do you see as best working in the region?
Emilia Zvonko would like to go, please.
Thank you very much for the question. I believe that in the Western Balkans, Facebook, a social media platform, works the best. And just as a comparison, just as a number, more than 70% of the citizens of the country of Macedonia are on Facebook. When it comes to Twitter, it is like known as an intellectual social platform. It's good for posting messages, strong messages. It's good for opening some public discourses, but it does not target the wider population. When it comes to LinkedIn, it's a professional platform and it's good, it's great to targeting the professionals, but unfortunately, very few professionals from the water sectors in Macedonia can be found on LinkedIn. So I would recommend that Facebook and YouTube would be the safe side to use as a tools for implementing social media campaigns.
May I just ask you, have you tried using Instagram for this campaign or not at all?
We didn't, because we know that Instagram, at least at that time, was a social media platform for very young people. And those who are on target, who we were targeting, could be found on Facebook. And Instagram is good, but the messages are mainly visual. And sometimes you want to put some text into the message.
Thanks a lot, Zvonko. Emilia, thank you for the question. So definitely you would need to target properly and use the proper channels in order to reach the audience. So it really depends which age group and what kind of messages you want to transfer. Any other question or comment from the audience over there? Can we assist? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ljubomir Filipov. Actually, the PR department is part of the departments I'm responsible for in Sofia Water Company. Because I saw that colleagues from Vienna Wasser are also on Instagram, I would like to ask them what's their experience with Instagram and also what's their, let's say, view on TikTok, because now we are talking with our external PRs, and actually they showed us a great campaign of Kaufmanns, for example, which made really huge breakthrough in TikTok in Bulgaria, for example. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Actually, it's a question of resources. We were considering to also supply TikTok with information, but you need a completely different kind of appearance on TikTok. And so we decided to stay. We have at Instagram and Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel. But at the moment, we cannot manage to do more than that. But of course, with TikTok, you reach a much younger group of people. With Facebook, we know in Austria, the average age is about 49. This was the age 5 years ago, so maybe it's below 50 in the meantime. So we need at least Facebook and Instagram, but TikTok would be great. We are not able to do it now, not yet.
Thank you very much, Astrid. Very valid point. Be careful how much you can do and how it fits your organizational identity. a very important point, because there's no purpose in opening tens of different accounts and then not updating them and not providing valuable information for the audiences. Thank you very much for this engagement. I will move forward and then we will come back to your questions again. We have somehow split the session. Now we are changing a bit our focus from focusing to general audiences, general public, our customers. We are now going to talking and communicating and coordinating with our members. So our next speaker will be focusing on communicating with members. Our next speaker is Mr. Milo Fiasconaro. He's coming from Aqua Publica Europea from Belgium, which is the European Association of Public Utility Companies. And reading through his bio, I have found many similarities. I joined NALAS in 2012. This year, Milo joined his organization, and he's also coming with local government background and will share with us a very inspiring story about how they mobilize their membership, how they communicate, and how they share among themselves. The floor is yours, Milo.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for this introduction. And thanks a lot, IWD, to Kati and to Vateclean for this invitation, for the opportunity to share with you a bit what we do with our organization, but also to learn from you about your activities. I mean, for me, yesterday was particularly inspiring, and let's hope that remaining the topic of this session, this will be the start of a fruitful collaboration between our two organizations. So about Aqua Publica Europea, we are a network of publicly owned water and sanitation utilities at European level. 100% public our members are. More than 60 members, including Vienna Water and Budapest Water Works on the Danube, and many more other utilities from big cities, but also from regional operators like Irish Water, Scottish Water, and also operators from more rural areas, especially in France and in Spain. What we do? Well, essentially, we have two main objectives. One is to contribute, or to try to contribute to the evolution of European and international policy making in the water sector. And then second objective is try to work a bit as a knowledge platform, a bit like IWD you are doing here. So in the rest of the presentation, I will try to tell you a bit more how we try to fulfill these two objectives, but at the end, I will also make maybe some reflection on the challenges that we face and how we try to address these challenges. So let's start with our advocacy activity, lobby, and especially at the European level. How do we do lobby at the European international level? Well, first of all, we are members of some technical expert group or consultative bodies at European international level. And in particularly important for us are the technical working group dealing with key pieces of European legislation like the Drinking Water Directive, the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, the Water Framework Directive, where we have the possibility it's a direct gate to European officials and to representatives of member states to talk about the evolution of European legislation. So we have the chance there to discuss the future legislation even before the legislation is drafted. And it's, of course, for us, an important context where we can share our views and give our contribution. But in addition to this a bit more formal context, we also try to launch our own initiatives on topics that are relevant for our members, where we try, most of the case, to develop a dialogue between our members, public water utilities, and representatives of other institutions at European level, at national level, and other stakeholders and NGOs, but also other industrial sector. The topics can be related to current ongoing legislative dossier. Like now, of course, we are very busy with the revision of the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. As you can see, we organized back in November a seminar together with the European Commission to discuss the new proposal, or we invited the rapporteur in the European Parliament of the directive, MEP Torvalds from Finland, and other political groups to visit the treatment plant of Brussels, also, you know, to try to explain and show what will be the concrete implication of the new legislation. But we also try to launch initiative on topics that may not related current legislative dossier, but that are relevant for us or for our members, where we have something to say, especially addressed to the political level. For example, last year we organized a seminar in Sevilla with our Spanish member on water scarcity and drought. Some years ago on a blue New Deal with the Portuguese presidency. So in general, we try to have an impact by bringing the views and the experience of our members in the policy making at European international level. And of course, these activities that we do on the advocacy side have also an impact and influence and feedback to what we do on what we call the knowledge platform. Basically, most of the activities that we do under this in this framework, in this field, go under what we call our initiative, Water Erasmus initiative. What is Water Erasmus? Well, it's a package of different modalities through which our members, public utilities, can interact with each other to address common challenges. And it's also a series of tools that facilitate the collection of information from our members and the circulation of information, which is one of the key challenges. I will not enter into detail of what we do under this platform, just to say that there are different modalities that can change in the format in terms of the number of persons that participates, if it is in person, virtual, is a study visit. It can change in the fact that it's closed just to our members, or sometimes we invite external experts. I mean, different modalities that respond to different knowledge needs and also to the request of our members. About what they want to do and how, in which way they want to do it. Here you have some little examples. I mean, just to say that through our Water Erasmus initiative, through our exchange, we address a wide range, of course, of topics that go from, I don't know, here's some of the most recent one, from data governance to water use, but also to campaigns, I mean, to how manage public fountains, or to communication campaign. And we have our working group on communication. In the last meeting was about how to promote tap water, where we try to, head of communication departments in our members share best practices in communication campaign and also challenges that they face. How we decide about what topics to exchange on? Well, we ask members, or members are telling us what they need. Also on this, we have different tools. In particular, here you see, well, basically a newsletter that we circulate regularly, where we list all the requests for exchange or requests for information that we receive from members. For example, here you see in a screenshot and request coming from Warsaw about what was that, real-time control system, or on another from a Spanish member of quaternary treatment in a rural area. And through this newsletter, members have the possibility to reply, if they wish, to the request from other members, or to submit their own request for information. Then we collect all the requests and the response that we have online, so everything is available to our members. And we also have a tool, I mean, all the information that we collect, all the requests, but also all the best practices from our members that we collect, they are all put together in a database, which is indexed by topic. And so, and associated to that, there is a little search engine, a little Google, if you wish, through which we can easily, this is for members, but also for the Secretariat, retrieve information about what has been done, retrieve information about exchanges in the past, and to know more about best practices from the members. So this is in a nutshell what we do. Just to conclude, I might maybe anticipate a question that you might have, which is, but does overall all of this work smoothly? Well, the answer is, I mean, if I were in another context, maybe I would say, of course, everything will work smoothly. The reality is that being with you, like, I mean, the same family of water operators, that in reality, things are a bit more complex. There is, of course, a work of the Secretariat that is needed to create the matching and the relation between the water operators. Some information is arriving to us through WhatsApp, through phone calls. Some of the exchange members are doing, they are not informing us. So This is natural, I think. Essentially, the issue there is that our membership is diverse. Well, you could say, well, you are all public operators. And indeed, on this side, we are all public. So this simplify our work, especially political work, towards the European institution, because it's easy to reach a consensus. On the other side, there is a diversity of situation in terms of how operators are organized between big operator and rural operator, between those that are managing just drinking water and those that are managing just the sewage network, between the people that participate in our activities, because we have both a president or the directors of the operators, but also the technical staff. And then there are cultural and language barriers. I mean, I cannot hide the fact that language can be indeed an obstacle for some. I mean, not everyone speaks fluently or is at ease with English, and so there is a huge variety of different expectations that we face, and how to react, how we try to respond to these different expectations. But basically, being flexible. I mean, we need to be inclusive in the sense that we need to offer a wide range of different activities to our members, comprehensive in the sense that some of the activities are more targeted for example, for the president of the operator, other for the technical staff. I will finish in 1 minute. But this also means that we need to invest resources sometimes in translations and interpretation to be sure that our message is reaching out to all members. It also means that sometimes we try to adapt new approaches with a view to streamlining our activities in a network of more than 60 utility. Things that we think from Brussels that work well, but then if they are not picked up by our members, I mean, we need to accept this. We need to accept this diversity, drop it, and move on. Take into account what are the real needs and the real expectation of different kind of members, which also means that sometimes all of this means redundancy in the type of activities, especially communication tool that provide our members, because we need to adapt to those that prefer to communicate by email, or to those that prefer communicating by LinkedIn, or to the Latin country that use only WhatsApp. Apparently, they work only through WhatsApp. And we need to adapt to this, which means that sometimes we need to acknowledge also the trade-off that this can involve. And sometimes maybe we are less quick than we want in responding, but we think that we prefer to privilege inclusiveness and attention to the need of our member instead of going towards our ideal world of activities that we could do. I stop here, and thanks again for this opportunity.
Thanks a lot, dear Milo. Again, this was one fast forward lecture, this time for the associations of public utility companies. Very grateful for that. So we explored how the association is working with its members to fulfill two main objectives. One related to policy making, with really great examples how you communicate with European decision makers, but also related to knowledge exchange, learning, developing, giving and getting from each other as part of the network that you highlighted. And thank you for your wrapping up in the end and pointing out that the need for the association to be flexible to the different needs of its members, and trying, jogging sometimes with juggling with different tools and ways and languages even, how to meet the needs of the members. And I hope that all these messages come across, and that our colleagues from the Danube region coming from the associations will use some of these lessons learned. Thank you very much for that, Milo.
So last but not least speech is going to be about the redesigning of the international benchmarking for water and sanitation utilities. And this project is represented by Marco Antonio Agüero. He joined the World Bank Water Global Practice in September 2013, and Marco holds a master's degree in finance and engineering degree in agriculture and agribusiness. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and good morning, everyone. Still good morning. First, I would like to thank Walter and the team, EAWD, for such a lovely dinner, yesterday. I couldn't imagine a better setting, the Danube River, drinks, food, and making new friends. No, so thank you very much for that. I am still recovering, no, for that night, but hopefully we'll try to deliver to the best of my abilities. I also am aware that I am the last speaker of the conference. No, I mean,
Cherry on the top.
yeah. So wow, this is a great way. No, great. No pressure. No, it's okay. All right. Before we get into the details of the new IBNet partnership with the EAWD, I just want to mention something that very important. No, I've been participating in all of the panels. No, but there were two panels that had a common denominator. No, one was from the experience in I was in Portugal, and the other one was in Croatia. No? So the thing that struck me most was that both of the panelists started explaining, how was the journey of transformation of their sectors, or what they are planning to do in the case of Croatia. But they started with data. No, they presented a balance of how were they doing. No. Before they started this journey of transformation. No? So that is extremely important, no? Because data is the only mean, no, that you will have to understand where you are, no, in comparison to others and where you want to go. No? So I just wanted to make that distinction because I thought it was really interesting. No? So we know that utilities are at the forefront of different challenges, no? Worldwide challenges, going from climate change, global economic crisis, inequality, well, you name it, no? And utilities, who are I think the real heroes, no, are at the forefront in dealing, no, with multiple challenges at the same time, no? Some of those challenges can be resolved immediately, but others need the medium and long-term solutions. But in order to create those solutions, utilities require to take good decisions, no? To optimize their scarce resources in order to address and mitigate the different risks. So for that, you need data. No, it's not only data, but good quality data. And sometimes data is not always reachable. It's not there. And in other scenarios, data is there, but we are really just sitting on data and not taking actions based on that information. No? So we know that utilities have a lot of data. No, we know that many of them struggle, no, to reach that turnaround process, and we know by experience also that having these self-assessments based on the data is a good starting point, no, to transform the utility and to initiate this journey, such as Agua de Portugal and others are already doing. No? So we all know IBNet. I think everyone here has been at some point exposed, no, to the platform. IBNet is known as the largest database platform for water supply and sanitation utilities. It's been around more than 24 years now. And it has been used by many, not just by utilities, but by academia, by development planners, etc. No? But we also know that very few utilities are taking or informed decisions based on this information. No? So 2 years ago, our management commended us with a task to redesign the new IBNet and shift a little bit its business model. No? And from that point forward, we started different consultations with different stakeholders, utilities, regulators, development planners, to think a little bit about the process. No? So we followed this human-centered design approach, meaning that we needed to understand what were the pains and the gains in terms of data for each of our users. No? And we even installed what we call a technical advisory group that some of you here are part, at least Doru, who was a presenter yesterday, is part of this technical advisory group, and many other experts around the world helping us reshape, no, the IBNet. So we transformed the IBNet into this new platform, which we wanted to be the place to go, no, for utilities where they can go and share the data, use the data, but most importantly, connect and learn from each other. No? So if you enter the IBNet, you will find a data entry portal, interactive dashboards, and most importantly for us, which is almost the new feature, is a community of practice platform, which is the space where we feel that you will be able to connect with peers and connect between other associations. So what is new about New IBNet? No? So for starters, we have designed the IBNet as a data service platform. No? The original IBNet had around 100 indicators. We have reduced that number of indicators to 15 indicators, which are the 15 indicators most commonly used by regulators and entities around the world. This was based on an assessment that we developed. We also have included a new feature called management practices, no? Because we feel that management practices are also very good predictors of performance. And we have followed a very structured references, no, based on the World Management Survey, where they have applied already, this kind of surveys in other sectors, public sectors such as health, education, and now for the first time we have already structured, this management practice questionnaire aligned to the water sector. You will also have opportunities for peer-to-peer learning, no? This will be done through our open social platform, which is already linked to the new IBNet, where people can go and connect with each other. You have flexibility to connect one by one or through different associations or carry out different webinars. Well, you name it, it has that flexibility to address the different needs of the users. And then you have dashboards, no, where you can review your performance in comparison to others, no. So there you can see the dashboard for the 15 indicators, and the green dot is basically where that utility stands in comparison to the others. Then you have the perspective on management practices, which is basically a self-assessment of the utilities' different managerial practices in different areas of the service. And likewise, the KPI dashboard, you were able also to see where you stand in terms of managerial practices in comparison to others in those 6 dimensions. And well, you also have opportunity to compare and to play a little bit with the data regarding, for instance, crossing it with the income group, or if you want to see 1 or 2 specific indicators, you will be able to do that in the new IBNet. So these are the 15 core indicators. I'm not going to go through all of them. It will take a lot of time, but just to mention that this is the first version of the new IBNet. We have launched the first version in March, this past March, and we are already looking into designing and developing the new version of IBNet. Of course, we are flexible to include other set of indicators as long as it is useful for utilities, as long as utilities can collect that information. Because remember, we did this centered around the user, which is the utility. No, we have also we are also thinking about optional features, optional indicators for different members, such as regional associations, and the creation of standard reports. And well, we have that flexibility to evolve over time. No, this is a self-assessment. No, it's around 7 categories around these different areas. And again, this is a self-assessment, an honest view, from the management to inside, where or to understand where they stand, in terms of these different areas, and also at some point compare, or understand what are the correlations between these management practices and particular KPIs of your utility. In terms of partnerships, we have transformed the new IBNet into a partnership model, a partnership platform. And there you can see several partners that we have already signed partnerships, but also that we are exploring. And one thing that we are very cautious about is that we want to understand what are the needs of our different partners, and we don't want to compete with their existing platforms. So with that in mind, and I know that EAWD has been a partner of IBNet for many, many years now, but we have revalidated our engagement, our cooperation, commitment through a letter of intent that was signed on last February. And basically here, I'm not going to bore you with all the details of this graph, but just to tell you that we are reaching out to the utilities through the different associations. This is our commitment to EAWD and our other partners. We're not going to go around them to reach the utility. We want to go through them. And this is the main principle of this new partnership model. And luckily, and I'm just here to recognize the great collaboration with EAWD for many years. EAWD was the first partner, official partner for the old IBNet, and is the first partner for the new IBNet as well. And just to mention, we are replicating that cooperation model with other associations around the world. So thank you very much for that.
1 more minute, Mark.
Yeah, 1 more minute. So this is just to explain, this is a structured process. It's not like we had an idea, then we're going to know. It has been going for 2 years now. Just to mention 4 things. One, let me get, I took notes here. Okay, 4 messages I think that I don't want you to leave without understanding. First, we need to earn the platform. And we need what we call to earn the data. Earn the platform means we need to make a pleasant experience for the user when they go into these types of tools and share their data. Otherwise, it will be impossible. We need also to earn the data. What does this mean? This means that utilities share the data, but we receive, or they receive, some sort of instant gratification. They receive some instant gratification in terms of information, in terms of insights. Otherwise, it will be a burden for the utilities to complete. Second message, new IBNet is more than a data collection exercise. It's more than a benchmarking exercise. It's really about a community of practice platform. This is our end goal, to have you understand and learn and connect to each other. And third is, well, we're here to help, to transform data into knowledge. But in order to do that, we need information. And in order to have information, we need data. We just heard amazing presentations from our communications colleagues, saying that messages are important. But if we want to target our audience, if we want to define the good messages, we need good data. And last but not least, just want to invite you to bring your utilities to the new IBNet. Thank you very much for your patience, and I hope I did a good job in terms of time. Thank you.
So Marco, many thanks for nice presentation, and I think it's a good presentation for the end of our session and even for our conference. From the view of young water professionals, it's very important to share the data and experience and informations between many utilities and gain the experience, more experience that in the school or in the our one job, but even from the many hundreds of utilities around the world. So thank you for your job.
Thank you, Marco, also from my side. And thank you for pointing out that it's really important that we have the base of data, which will then lead us through digesting it as information and learning from it. And I would point out one of the things that you mentioned about the decision making. Let's motivate everyone to use this data to influence important decisions in the way that we want to achieve the objectives of the strategy of our public utility company and the organizations. Thank you very much for all of this, Marco. A huge round of applause for everyone, please. And a huge round of applause for you as well for being an active audience. 4 minutes, we have passed the schedule, but I would ask Kati for a permission for 2 questions, a couple of questions again from the audience so that we do not leave anything unsaid. The floor is yours, dear colleagues. Last round of questions if you have for our panelists. Of course. Over there and then the colleague here. Okay, ladies first, because we had a question already there. Please.
It's matter not of gender, but being efficient. So I have 2 comments. One, first, Lindita Troca from World Bank Albania, one regarding the next phases of the project that is going to be happening in the other countries of Balkan region. It's very important then when we reach out the audience to be aware also not only to pass the message on the importance of water, but also that water costs. So it's very important to kind of combine the both messages, because especially in the country of the region, we know that, for example, in Albania, for the wastewater treatment plants, we pay 0. So being from the technical background, we are very much keen on passing the message towards the importance of water, so to raise awareness to people, but in the same time, we need to kind of, at least this is my suggestion, to be aware that we need to raise awareness on the tariff. Second, what I found very interesting, at least from my perspective, is that we need to also work very much on the people that passes the messages, not only in the campaign phases with the head of the utilities or whoever in his daily job has to promote the work of the utilities on how to pass the messages. And I got triggered from the presentation on Macedonia case. So for example, when we say 1 out of 5 people was reached, very impressive. But if you say it, which is basically the same data, that 20% of the population was reached, then it doesn't feel, at least to me personally, that good. So my point is that it's very important the work that the communication guys or PRs, the guys do, and very important to reach the people that are transmitting in the daily basis the messages of the work of the utilities. Sorry, maybe I was long, but
thank you very much. So 2 valid points and a task for Zvongo and Emilia to consider the tariffs and the cost of water when designing future campaigns, and the important point on how you transfer the message. Please.
Just 1 second. I wanted to also tell that in my presentation, and I forgot that also one of the key messages that we would like to send is that why consumers pay for water, why isn't it important? So this will be definitely included. Thank you for this reminder. So thanks.
Yeah, and also very valid for the wastewater campaigns as well, because people are somewhat aware of the cost of water, but not really aware of the cost of consumption of water afterwards. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the important note. And as I said, this was a pilot case. We've learned a lot out of it. Now having the opportunity to share with you, we gain additional information, and definitely the next campaigns will consider all of these important aspects. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we go on there?
Thank you. Before to ask my question, just to say that I'm fully agree that women are more efficient than the men. So actually, my question is for the Aqua Publica. My question is, what's your experience in cooperating with associations of the private operators, maybe Aquafed or other, let's say, associations? Because very often, no matter whether the ownership is private or public, I mean, all these companies are on the same boat and they are facing the same, let's say, legislative or technical challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, Mila.
Well, thanks a lot for this question. I mean, which goes a bit to the core of our mission a bit. Well, of course, we collaborate a lot also with the Aquafed, I mean, with the Association of Private Operators. There are, as you said, a lot of things, I mean, a lot of challenges that are common to both public and private, especially with regard to the evolution of the European legislation. And sometimes with some, but sometimes some of the meetings I have with Aquafed or with other organizations that I mean, are mainly representing, let's say, the private industry. They used to say, a colleague from Aquafed, but let's, I mean, come on, the difference between us and you is about 5%. It's true, but still that 5% is relevant in terms of, for us, in the kind of some of the messages, political messages we put forward, especially for what concerns a more long-term view of water policy, a more environmental approach rather than technological one in addressing the water challenges. So we are similar, we have a similar problem, and most of the times we agree, but the 5% is still relevant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? How do you feel now in the end of this session and in the end of thematic exchanges? How does it feel? Perfect. Thank you very much. Don't forget that this was communication session. So please tweet, post, and tag us. This will be one of the objectives of the sessions afterwards, although we didn't list it there. And one more final remark. When you create your campaigns, when you create your communication and collaboration strategies, please do not forget that we inside this room and many of the people whom you know are privileged. There are many people out there who do not have the access to information as we do and access to resources as we do. I learned this difficult way when I moved to a village a few months ago and when I faced shortage of water. And when I faced abuse of water, as I would like to say. So please, when designing your campaigns, think about all these issues that other people face outside of our comfortable zones in the city of the centers. Thank you very much for your engagement. Thank you very much.